Hey, what's going on YouTube? As of this video upload, it has been almost 10 months of ownership of this beautiful 2018 Subaru WRX base model. And lately I've been thinking I chose the wrong trim level. So let's backtrack a bit. For those of us who currently own a WRX or an STI, and for those of you guys who are considering or who are in the market of buying yourself a new WRX or an STI, the trim level is a very important thing. So I highly recommend you guys do your research and know the differences in terms of the trim level from the base, the premium plus the option package slash sports packages, and the limited trim level and all of the other tidbits that go along with it. And so you guys have heard my story already, and the reason why I chose the base model is due to price. You know, the WRX is, you know, a pretty expensive car for, you know, us normal folks, and financing it is going to be our first alternative. For those of us who have, you know, pretty good credit, we want to finance this car. And how are we going to finance such a big loan amount, right? The $30,000 loan amount. We're going to want to bring that price down. And so the reason why I went for the base is due to this factor, the financial factor, and another factor, which is I'm a strong believer of you know, the concept of Legos. Because this is Subaru, and because this is a WRX, the platform is very prone to being modified, and so as a result there's an abundance of aftermarket support for this vehicle. And so I went into the ownership of this vehicle knowing that, and I knew that at some point I'm going to start tinkering and modifying this car to my liking, to my preference. Like I said before, I plan to keep this car, but there are times when, as an owner, you think about selling this car. And, you know, the WRX and STIs hold their value very, very well due to how popular they are and how practical they are. So, you know, just FYI, for those of you guys who are new and who are considering modifying it, don't modify it so heavily because you're not going to get your money back. I've seen a lot of posts where people get upset because they sell their WRX or STI with a bunch of mods and they're like, hey, I'm expecting to get this much out of it, but no one's buying it. And mods don't increase your value. So, you know, you guys have heard it before again and again. So I came into the ownership of this vehicle knowing that, and like I said, I wanted to keep the cost low, so I was able to buy this car for $28,000 out the door. I put down about $6,500 and I financed $21,000, and so it brought my monthly payments down to a little under $400 plus insurance. Everything equates to, you know, exactly at $500, you know, on the dot, which is amazing. You know, it's wonderful for me, for my budget. Everyone's budget is, you know, quite different, but I chose base because I wanted to build up, you know, the concept of Legos. I wanted to add parts as I go, right? So I know that eventually I'm going to buy myself, you know, OEM fog lights. I'm going to have it installed. It's very easy. I'm a big DIY guy. I'm going to do everything myself. This car is very, very easy to tinker around with, and I could do everything myself eventually over time. And it's also, you know, I know enough about this car to where I could maintain it, and I could do a lot of usual upkeep. I could go on YouTube and, you know, find a lot of people who have already created content, just follow their advice and get stuff done. Great. And, you know, I'm sure some of you guys can relate with me, and I'm sure some of you guys you know, aren't so savvy with like DIY and stuff, and so you may have to go to the dealership, you may have to go to your mechanic and so forth. So again, everyone has their own story. I chose the base due to the financial reason, and the other aspect is that I'm going to build up. But you know, after owning this car for about 10 months now, this is my first performance vehicle. This is my first, you know, entrance into the world of, you know, performance vehicles, car shows, and all that jazz, right? I'm getting invited to places, you know, I'm getting to meet wonderful people from all backgrounds, and, you know, I'm just learning, you know, getting my feet wet. And so this is a car that I plan to keep, and this is a car that, you know, is very exciting for me, you know, especially after a long week, a long month. You know, every single day when I come home, it's something that I look forward to. You know, I just want to sit in my car. Sometimes I just want to go for a cruise, and I take it to the gym and back. That's pretty much my usual weekly usage of this vehicle. But I've been feeling like lately that I have chosen the wrong trim level, and I think it's because I finally realized what type of car enthusiast I am. And so that's another interesting thing too, as someone who's new into this car enthusiast world, right, is that everyone has their own story and everyone likes different things. And so even though I accept and I acknowledge that, man, I've seen some, wonderfully built WRXs, I've seen some really cool STIs, I personally don't have the budget to build that car. How I see my performance aspect of things, my car enthusiasm, is I want to keep my WRX as my daily driver. It's going to be my fun get up and go from point A to point B, camping trips and in between. This is what my car is intended to be. It's going to be my family performance car. My track car, my fun car, is two options. I either want to get myself a BRZ sometime in the future, 2013 or 14, 15, depending on what I can get myself into. Preferably a WR Blue, or if I were to go the FRS GT86 route, I want to get a red one. It's either going to be blue or red. Or I want to get a late model STI, one of like maybe a Bob Eye, a Hawkeye, or the, I always forget their name, but the 2011 to the 2014, preferably a hatchback. So those are what I'm kind of, have my eyes set on in terms of a performance car where I'm going to mod it. It's going to be my weekend warrior, and it's going to be something that I modify so heavily that I don't need to worry about tinkering with my WRX here. So that's how I kind of see things. And I noticed that in the 10 months now of being in the car world, I found what I like and I don't like. And I feel like I'm in a weird place because not a lot of people kind of relate with me, and so I haven't really met other folks who are like me or who like things that I like. And I feel like I'm an OEM guy, or like I like genuine parts from factory and that are rare. Like I like rare parts. I like JDM parts too, don't get me wrong, but I like authentic rare parts that was specifically built for this car, that is limited edition or limited print, and it's nice to kind of flaunt it. And so I feel like in a way I've taken some influence from the exotic car world, where like, a lot of these rich folks buy like their exotic, supercars, hypercars, and they buy it, they pimp it out from spec, right? Well, like every existing spec possible from factory, and they kind of just drive around and it's stock, but it has all of the stuff that they wanted added on. And that's kind of my influence here in this WRX world, is that I kind of, if money wasn't an issue, maybe I would have gotten a premium trim with the sport package instead of the base, if money wasn't an issue. And I would have probably have gotten the series gray. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard me talk a little, about it before, that I personally think the whole limited trim, the limited run vehicles, the limited, color, all that stuff is really just a sales tactic to get you in the door, to get you to buy their product at an increased price. They stamp on this limited edition color and this limited quantity to entice you to get in, and they add some extra little tidbit stuff, but overall the performance of the vehicle is still going to be the same. It's more of the collector's aspect. And if you're a car collector, that's fine, but if you coming into a Subaru, you're gonna most of us are gonna kind of thrash it a little bit. We're gonna drive a little bit, and that kind of deteriorates the value of the car itself. And so I don't think it's a good investment. But for me, because I wanted to keep it long term, I wanted the keeper for the rest of my life, my dream car, if money wasn't an issue, I would have gotten a premium trim level with a sport package to include, the car seats, all these little extra features in between, and everything all from OEM, from factory. And so that's what I've noticed that I kind of like, and I feel like a purist in that sense, in that I like the fact that it's OEM. I like that even though it's kind of generic and it's from the factory, not a lot of folks will pay that price tag from factory to have it installed in the car. They would rather go aftermarket because it's significantly cheaper, like especially for wheels. Right now, I'm still in the market. I'm still kind of debating between what I want, for the long term, because like with wheels, it's for us normal folks, it's a one shot, right? You got to pick the right wheels, and you're going to be stuck with it for quite some time, unless you find someone who's willing to buy it from you, and then you can move on to another set. And so it's essentially like shoes, permanent shoes for your vehicle. And a lot of folks have been telling me to go aftermarket. Hey, get yourself some Inky RPF ones, maybe in gold, or hey, maybe get yourself some NT03s, or you could get yourself some replicas. I've also been looking at Avid AV20s, but I have another discussion on rep wheels that I kind of wanted to touch on later. But really, I kind of want to keep this car as close as possible to OEM, or very OEM like. And I think that's reflective of a lot of the parts that I've installed onto this car, minus the head unit. I wished from factory that aftermarket head unit that I have was standard, but it's not. So I'm kind of changing this car to how I envisioned a WRX should have been like from factory. Hopefully that makes sense, right? And so instead of chasing and buying these parts, piece by piece over time, for me as an enthusiast, maybe it would have been less of a hassle to, if money wasn't an issue, to have just bought my dream WRX as a premium trim level with all the extra tidbits that I really wanted on it, and just call it a day, have everything all from factory, and so I could just kind of stare at it and enjoy it as is, and without having to tinker with it, right? So that's just kind of what I wanted to throw on the table for you guys to kind of discuss with me about, or maybe share your input. But I think this is mainly focused towards you guys who are new, who are interested in buying yourself a WRX or an STI. Think very hard on the trim level that you want, and know the differences between the trim levels and whether you're willing to live with it. Because I live in California, I love this car. And like I said, I don't regret it at all. But maybe if I had the opportunity to reconsider, I would have probably gotten myself, at the minimum, a premium trim level. I wanted the 18-inch OEM wheels. I wanted the heated seats. I don't like the moonroof. I've owned, all the other cars I've owned had a moonroof, and two of my older vehicles, my Celica and my Integra, had issues with the moonroof. Like over time, I see what it's going to become. It's going to become very problematic, and I just don't want to deal with that issue. So I just rather have it completely deleted. And of course, that's 60 pounds less on this performance vehicle. So those are just little things that I've noticed that I've liked. Fog lights, for example, I wish I had. I could buy it very easily. That's not a problem. But because on the premiums, it comes standard. And so another thing I also didn't like is that for the base, and I believe some of the premium models, the turn signals are down below on the fog bezels. And I don't like that. I kind of wished it was like the WRX Limited or the STIs, where the turn signals are actually in the headlight itself. So just little things like that that I knew coming into the ownership of this car, and I knew that I could tinker around with it, but it would have been less of a headache if it came as is already, and then I didn't have to personally worry about it. So yeah, just kind of wanted to bring this to your attention, and feel free to provide some of your feedback on what you guys think about what you felt would have been the better trim level for you. So yeah guys, if you guys like this video, thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Otherwise, any personal questions, feel free to email me at TomVangTV@gmail.com. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Subscribe.